Hey, I'm going to continue a little bit, only because I want to show you a trick. Um, at least for me, it works really well. Is I switch to a brush, and even though this is sketch paper, if I don't use too much water, I can continue the process of figuring out diagonal sculptural quality, placement, and beauty of it is I can start blocking in shapes of value easier than I can filling in with mass gesture and pencil, partly because I have an injury that makes it difficult for me to press really hard to get the shapes. So the other thing that's great is you can practice painting on your picture. You can start practicing matching the color. You can practice all these different things that you can't do with pencil. So I'm continuing the process, except my lines will be with a round brush and my shapes will be with a flat brush. And I can see problems right away. I started going at it with a little darker marks, and I thought, you know what, this is hurting my arm, and I want to show you guys these ways of painting negative space in order to render properly. A lot of times painting is helpful in rendering, not just in a finished piece. So I'm going to just keep going here, and of course vertically is better, it's more accurate. But I'm going to start blocking in shapes. Part of the problem, I can tell this is too big, there's a lot of issues. So I'm going to again take a look at the diagonals of the center of things. The diagonals of the knife, the pear. This diagonal goes this way. I had that wrong. And then of course this one goes this way. So this picture has a lot of center axis and leaning, but most things do. So we've got a leaning object where the center axis goes through here and has ellipses, and then we have a pear-shaped thing that goes this way through the center and is leaning this way. Never draw stems, by the way. Never draw a stem of something. It's horrible. The best thing you can do is draw around it and then do flecks within it. But that's another issue. You can also get the angle of it by holding this up in the air, getting the angle of the stem and the way it turns, not actually filling in it. The angle of this one goes right through. So that's why we have that, and then this angle of this weird leaf goes kind of like that and like that. So I'm still not using organic shapes. I'm still using structure. This shape goes this way. And okay, so I feel pretty good. I've got angles. I've been studying angles of the table and how it converges, making sure that linear perspective always goes together in space. If it's not aiming for the right thing together, it's off and it looks really weird. Another great way to do linear perspective, for example, on this, is go to where the end of it is and put a dot where you think it is. Right there, and put a dot. Then travel along and put another dot. If you see it all the way here, it's right about here. Sometimes you can see it all the way through. If not, you could put a dot there. But I think I'm going to go all the way through and put that dot here, which is right about here, because I can sort of see it, and then connect it. Let's see, it's lower on here. Having trouble seeing that, so I can use this one here, which is about here. So if you put a dot where it hits on the napkin and a dot where it hits on the corner, then you can just connect them. That's like one of the best tools for linear perspective. And all of these little cracks and crevices in here are part of it. Like this triangle right here is linear perspective. So I could put a dot here where it hits, and then I could put a dot here where it hits based on height, and that's where the extended line comes in again, and then connect them. And I can then compare the shape of the triangle. Mine is too not pointy enough, so I'm going to lower it a little this way. So I'm actually looking at the shape of the triangle and the shape of this. This is where you shift from line to shape. It's a mental process. It's an observation of shapes. And this is going to be the next stage, because lines will never give you accuracy, but shapes will. So I'm going to start examining big areas of shapes so that I can correct all my mistakes. I have a sense that this is too far over, obviously, and I can see that here. So now I'm going to focus on this shape and use that shape to shape this shape. Painting is all about using flat brushes and shaping things. There always are going to be some round brush stuff, but mostly it's going to be shapes. I've got these diagonals. I feel like it's starting ever so slowly to get it together. I'm in a place where I could be more comfortable using a brush. Of course, I don't want a soggy piece of sketch paper, but now I'm going to do the background. Instead of just blocking in the background, I might as well take a look at it. There's a lot of red in here. You wouldn't think so, but yeah, as a trained eye, you start to see there's red and green, red and green, red and green. Gray sometimes is better created without black. So I'm going to mix red and green to start. I see a little blue in there too. In acrylic, you can hold up your brush to see if it's matching. In watercolor, not so much. You kind of have to test it on a tester sheet, which you know we always want to have. So I'm going to test this. And the great thing is what I'm doing now is I'm actually now introducing you to local color. Pretty darn close. See, now I'm getting the value, almost, but I'm not getting temperature. So I'm going to add some red. I'm putting a demo in there of mixing local color with acrylic because it's the exact same thing, only you have to test it here. See, now I've got more purple. See how I'm getting closer? I'm going to put a tiny bit of black because I really feel like it's calling for that in ultramarine. You can see how I'm dealing with temperature, value, hue, saturation. So many factors. There's a lot of ultramarine blue in there. Very complex. And this applies to both the Earth Tone project. Ooh. So you can even fill like right on the edge and then bring it down and see. Physically see if it's getting close. Now there's a shadow here. So I have to go like this. But I can actually hold this up. I'm getting pretty happy about this. That happened pretty fast. But a lot of testers. A lot of testers. Put a little more blue. Alright, so I'm feeling pretty darn good. But this is just a practice, but it's a great way to know when you do get to actually transfer it to the paper. Look at that. And remembering that it dries a little bit lighter. Look at that. Look how close I'm getting. I'm grooved with that. Luckily, I made a decent pile. You always want to have like a good sized pile. Now I can fill this negative space looking at that. I'm still seeing more green, so I'm adapting it more. But see how I'm studying hue as well as rendering at the same time? It's a great strategy. It's really a great strategy to begin to understand the color systems, and you can start looking a little bit more at the shape. You're now moving beyond structure into the edge. You don't want to rush to get there, but if you don't here, it's okay. But I'm not curving, I'm just visually becoming more aware of where it curves based on how I had it initially with the lines. Now see how I'm filling this size shape to match that? That's how the drawing becomes accurate. Shapes are way more important than lines. All the time, but mostly with, see how I'm getting closer in now? And I like that color. I'm going to keep that up here. Making a note to myself what I did to get that color. And making sure that I giving this enough space around the sides. This was the angle of the handle. I'm gonna use a bigger brush. And if it gets soggy, you can switch to a pencil and fill it in. I just like to do this. And you can do it real dry brush. That color is way better. God, I'm so excited about that color. And I wasn't even going to make this a local color demo, but it sure turned out to be a perfect one. Imagine doing this on real watercolor paper. Now I'm getting somewhere. Now I'm taking a look at how much breathing room is above that vase right here. You can use dry brush, whatever, but see how this is now helping me see. I can take a look at this shape, and then of course you see how warm it is compared to the other one. I'm adding orange and green. And look how I'm painting in the direction that it's moving. It's quick, it's effective. This is why it's great to switch to a brush, even in these kind of still. This is totally orange. I say totally orange, but what I mean is there's a lot of orange in it. And then look, I wouldn't ever paint side to side. I'm painting the fibers of this. And now I can see where the knife ends. Need a little more red. All of this is just essential stuff. You're doing so much right here. You're doing like drawing with line, with space, with shapes. You're starting to understand color, saturation, ideas for what it's going to be like when you move to this. And there's orange in here. Like in your head, you're going, oh, that's perfect. Oh my God, I love that color. And this is great for earth tones, neutrals. This is why you want in life as an artist to become more and more sophisticated in terms of not just your drawing and design skills, but in complexity of hue, which is why we're doing these projects with earth tones and accents. There's a method to all of this. If you can't get in there, switch. I see, I'm more interested in the orange on the table and the purple than I am in that orange. Even the orange is complex, but it's these subtle hues. And then leaving white, this is a great chance to go, oh, what am I going to leave white? Obviously for me, I'm going to leave the drapery white, but maybe I leave this white, or the knife white, or the pear white. And I might do several versions to decide how I want to handle that. Okay, in here I have the plate. I've got this drapery. The plate is somewhere in here. Of course, I'm not rendering it round because I'm not sure. I'm just kind of blocking it, but I do have a little round brush here just for more linear drawing to make sure everything's in the right spot. I've got this handle here that I'm going to draw as a rectangle and like a figure 7 reversed. And I've got this ellipse here. Problem people have, they pick up a round brush and it's over. They just keep going and going with the round brush. Always come back to your flat brushes. Oh, check out this. What color is this? This is gorgeous yellow-green. This might be an area to use more saturation if you don't decide to leave it white. And this might be an area for glazing. This is all so important because it's like all this stuff's going on in your head. Like I'm warming up, I'm getting into the subject, I'm drawing properly with gesture, I'm not using rounded things, I'm using structural geometric things, and now I'm looking at shapes of value to help me render. And I'm thinking about what is my strategy for what am I going to leave white, how am I going to match these hues, what techniques am I going to use. Glazing just came to me just now. Maybe wet and wet blending, maybe flare out, maybe you do something like that. As long as you match the hue, you got a lot of freedom here. How about that brown? Oh my God, it's gorgeous. You put purple and brown in here. Oh gosh, like, I hope you get as excited as I do. I just love this kind of stuff. Like, it's purpley, it's brown, it's highlights, there's a tan. I would not have known any of this an hour ago. So this is the stuff, this shape. Look at that shape. How about that shape? That shape teaches me where this is. Anyway, I won't go on and on, but just think in your head all the endless possibilities here. It's very exciting. And this is just a piece of sketch paper. Imagine how prepared you're going to be when you get to your actual painting. And actually, by the time you're done here, you'll trace it. So you can do your painting like 5 times until you get it right. Get in the groove, enjoy. This is totally fun stuff. My orange is still too big. Bye.